I'm here with Mr. C. Wright. Mr. C. Wright.
How are you doing, sir?
Good. How you doing? Good to talk to you
I'm
again.
doing that. Yes, sir.
He's the brain trust. And we've got the whole
All right.
education specialist team here with us too. They always like to stay in the
Hello,
background.
team.
Hello.
Yes, sir. How are you?
And I wanted to start off, other than thanking you for being here, just by saying how impressed I am with the amount of 5-star ratings on Amazon. I don't get to read much for pleasure, but I've been 3 months in the seat here and trying to find books on leadership. And yours is quickly rising to the top. I tried to download it on audiobook, but you don't have it on audiobook yet.
No, I do. It's on audio.
You do?
It is on audio. It is. It's on audible.com,
It's on Audible?
Amazon Audible, as well as iTunes.
I'll have to get I use RB Digital, which is an Air Force library. I'm going to have to get it put on there.
Yes, please.
I think that I'll take that for action, because I think I know the right people where I can try and get that added as an Air Force leadership book.
That would be, again, this means so much to me. This is a full circle moment. I mean, again, I just wish my dad, I wish I could have had the conversation with him that I would be talking to, the Air Force today about this, because it's been a journey. And everything that I said in here and more that hopefully I'll say while we talk, I attribute the success to the Air Force and the community college of the Air Force. I'm pretty sure the people that were there when I was there are no longer there, but they just left an indelible mark upon me. And really, again, I didn't see myself as someone who would ever have a college degree of any kind. And just how they took somebody like myself that was an underachiever who, I didn't take the SAT, I didn't take the ACT, because my grades were so poor, and I just didn't see myself on that path, to kind of walk me through to show me where I was and a way to get to an associate's degree. And then once I learned that the associate's degree through the Community College of the Air Force is an accredited, legitimate college degree, that was a serious moment for me as well, because I said, wow, this is actually something that I can utilize and build upon. And I just wish more airmen and individuals that are spending time in the military just really saw it as such, because it's been the foundation for me.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head of what we're trying to do here, and I want to make sure that I hand the reins back over to Mr. C. Wright, since he eloquently crafted these questions. And he's rolling his eyes at me. But, this is what we're trying to do is reframe the narrative in the field, and with the help of people like you, who, I don't think that many airmen even understand what regional accreditation even means. And so I'm really trying to reestablish a lot of those relationships and go confer degrees in the field. But, yeah, I want to hand it over to Mr. C. Wright and hear all about you.
Okay.
Well, thanks again for agreeing to talk to us. And I want to congratulate you on a very, very fine bestseller.
Thank you.
I ordered it last week, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading it.
Appreciate it.
Could you just provide us a little background on yourself?
So again, I'm what you call an overachieving underachiever. So I started I'm one of four. My dad was in the Air Force. He served in the Air Force from 56 to 60. And my dad was much older, but he was older than most when I came along. And so I didn't have a connection to his military service. I'm not a person that grew up, making my bed, bouncing quarters off the quilt and all of those things, and folding corners. But so I didn't grow up, I would say, in a military regimented household, but, you had order. But I was the youngest of four. I was a pretty good student up until, high school is when I, discovered girls and had a little job, and then wanted to, focus on those things rather than my studies. And 4 years of high school blew past, and I looked up and I had a horrible grade point. I didn't see myself as a student because I didn't apply myself. I didn't relate applying myself and effort to success. I was working menial jobs because, again, that was all I was qualified for. Mm-hmm. And then I became a teenage father shortly after high school, and I'm going from job to job, tried vocational school because I didn't have the GPA at that time to even go into a community college curriculum, let alone a 4-year curriculum.
Yeah.
And I had an incident that occurred that could have turned violent. Was being harassed by some men one night after leaving the movies, and I kind of saw where my future was headed, looking at everything, and I said, listen, maybe I should take my father's advice. And he had been on me for a couple of years to go into the Air Force. And so within 3 weeks of making my mind up, I was at Lackland Air Force Base, which I didn't enter a delayed enlistment program. It was all divine order. I went into a recruiter's office on a Monday morning. I took the ASVAB. I think the next day they had the scores that afternoon. I was back in there Wednesday looking at jobs, and they had just had an individual who canceled, and my ASVAB scores met that position. So I was going in as an intelligence operations apprentice.
Oh, wow.
And that was my original PSC. And when I was in basic training, you had to do your security clearance interview. And I never forget, and I'll make this quick, but during the interview, this young lady asking me certain questions. She asked me questions about some of my background. She asked me questions about my brothers, who had been, I would say, street pharmacists. And once I told her she said, well, did you know that they were into illegal activity? I said, I knew of it. That closed down the interview, and I was no longer eligible for that position. I was not eligible, according to her, to get a security clearance. And so then I had to find another job within the military that I qualified for. Talked to my dad. He said, well, try a skilled trade. That's how I got into heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and the civil engineering squadron, which led me to Wichita Falls, to Shepherd, and then over to Maxwell Air Force Base, which was a blessing because that's the home of the Community College of the Air Force, Air University, and everything else. And while I was there at Maxwell, I immediately after I got there, I wanted to go to school. Once I then learned the power and the effectiveness of having a community college degree. And I didn't have to take the ACT, I didn't have to take the SAT, and then I left tech school with so many college credits already. That was so attractive to me. Mm-hmm. And so pursued college in the evenings, worked during the day, stayed on top of my CDCs, and eventually got my associate's degree, and was looking to actually become a military officer when the skilled trade apprenticeship back in Detroit was brought to my attention. And at that time, I made a decision based upon how much they paid, after 4 years. So I was looking at, and that's what really I made my decision to get into the apprenticeship, go back home and get into the skilled trades apprenticeship rather than pursue an officer training school. Mm-hmm. And because I had a clean record, great relationship with my commander, which I think is one of the greatest leaders I've ever, worked under, which was Lieutenant Colonel John Pryor. I got an early out and a letter of recommendation from him and got into an apprenticeship. And because I had the community college degree, and it was in an applied science and electrical mechanical technology, going into a skilled trade apprenticeship where over 4,000 people applied and they were only going to take 10, you had to have something that was really going to distinguish you and make you stand out to be selected, because it was extremely competitive. And so having that degree and the requisite experience gave me a leg up, and I was like number 3 out of these 4,000 candidates, and they took 10. And so that's what started me in the apprenticeship back in Detroit in skilled trades. And I completed that in 2 years because of my degree and military experience. So it just kept putting me further and further ahead. And so I was doing that for a while and making really good money. But because I completed that so quickly, I had time to then become complacent. And I realized I was getting these letters, and it said, your GI Bill expires in either 2 years or 24 months. And at that particular time, it was 2005, I said, do not leave any money. I don't want to leave any money on the table. Let me go back, again, use these military benefits and go back to school. But by then, I had the taste to really go to law school. I was also serving as a union steward. I was helping negotiate contracts, but I didn't have the background really to compete with people that were on the other side of the table that were seasoned attorneys. So I wanted to go back to go to law school, went back to get my bachelor's degree, for the reason of going to law school. And when I went back to get my bachelor's, again, having that community college at Air Force associate's degree, I was welcomed in and didn't have to take any other tests and received 64 credit hours towards my bachelor's degree, which was 128 hours. So, if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would have started from scratch at that time, because I was making good money. I was complacent, but having that leg up there where you only have this far to go, it's 2 years, you have 2 years left in your GI Bill, you got to do it. So I went to law school, and while I was in law school, I had so many opportunities open up to me because of the military experience, because of being a veteran, that I ended up being appointed to mayoral committees, executive positions, and of quitting my job in the boiler room, and then just started making my ascent really on the corporate side until I eventually started several businesses, and I started in 2016. So that's really kind of like a Reader's Digest version of what took me from working in the boiler room at the Central Energy Plant on Maxwell Air Force Base to working on, to serving on billion-dollar pension fund boards, other boards, and being a CEO, COO, SVP of multi-billion-dollar companies and things of that nature.
So
All from an E1.
So it's pretty clear that earning your CCF degree led you to earning other degrees or pursuing other education.
It definitely.
Yeah. So that's really good to hear. I noticed in chapter 8 of your book, you mentioned that while you were here at Maxwell, you became homesick.
Yes.
What did you do to overcome that boredom?
And what I also write in the book is that I was looking at Palace Chess. I don't know if you still can do that. I don't know if that's still a thing.
I think so. In some career fields, I think so, yeah.
So back then, I was looking at Palace Chase, and you get to a point in you can get to a point along the journey where you kind of made it through the initial rough patches or the obstacles, and you kind of get to a point where, just like an airplane, as it ascends, you get to your cruising level, and you start to level off, and you're just cruising along. That's where I was, and I was homesick, but I was also kind of bored and not realizing, okay, well, I made it through basic training. I proved that I can do that. I made it through tech school. Okay, I'm working in a job. I'm working 8 hours a day. I understand how to military bearing, military decorum. Okay, what else is there? And so now I started to look externally, other places, rather than saying, what more can I do here to prepare myself for the next phase? And so at that point, again, was making sure that I stayed the course with my studies and register, because I didn't register for courses every semester. So it was hit and miss. I don't want to give the impression that I was, even though when I realized some things that it was 100%, going hard all the time. It wasn't. You register for a couple courses, you really go, then you kind of fall off. And so it's how to stay consistent. So how I avoided the homesickness component and the boredom was to really write down some goals, make a plan, keep it plain, and stick to it. So getting that associate's degree became my mission, because at that time I was looking to possibly do OTF. So I wanted to make sure I was going for below the zone, which I didn't get, but I was one of the finalists, getting an Air Force Good Conduct Medal, which I did get, kept my nose clean, and I was looking to have those letters of recommendation from my supervising, NCOs, as well as some of the senior leadership, which I was able to do that as well. So I started to establish some goals within where I was to prepare me for the next phase. Either I was going to get out or I was going to stay in. I wanted to at least get that associate's degree, because if I stayed in and I deployed, which everybody at that time was going over to Korea for a year, I wanted to at least get that degree before I deployed over to Korea, or to see what universities were in Korea that I could finish up my CCF. So to answer your question, Mr. C. Wright, it was really seeing what the base had to offer overall comprehensively as well. I volunteered. I did tutoring. I just got involved because Maxwell is like a city when you look at it. I mean, it's so many things to do, so many programs, different functions going on, that you can get involved in and be productive with your time if you choose to be. Now, pretty sure they still got the NCO club. Sure, they have other things around the city, but you have to make a decision of, are these things detracting or contributing to the success that you say you want for your life? And that's when I made the focus that I can go broader or I can go deeper into this experience that I'm in, on this journey that I'm on, to make sure that I'm fully benefiting from everything that it has to offer. So when I talk to people who are in the military or people who are thinking about to get in the military, I say, listen, and I say this with all due respect. I spent 4 years in the Air Force, and the Air Force has given me way more than I ever gave it. I have benefited way more.
That's very interesting, and that's good advice for people who are coming into the military. On the other hand, what about people who are leaving the military? How do they get from their boiler room to their boardroom?
That's a great question, and that's the thing that I want to help a lot of people. I think this story will resonate with a lot of people, but especially for the people who are getting out, because the mind is so powerful. It's nothing but a computer, and it's going to manifest. It's going to output whatever you input. And I've seen so many people who say, well, they hear me speak and they go, well, the military wasn't like that for me. And I said, it's because you're not looking at it through the right lens. When you're looking to leave, you should have a plan, understanding that if you don't make it according to that plan, that's okay, because plans evolve and you have to revise plans, but you're going to continue to progress. But the things that you've learned within the military experience is enough if you stay in tune and aware of where you are in your journey to make it to wherever you go, whatever goals you set for yourself. So that's the main thing. So when I would say people that are getting out, understanding that you are the honorable discharge phase for this particular journey. But now you're going to have to make a decision, which one of the chapters is called Anatomy of a Decision. How do you come to a decision to take action? And then what steps are you going to prepare to receive training, which is basic training. People do not understand that basic training is nothing more than preparing you for military life. We have to first prepare you. We have to strip you down and build you up so that you can function within the world that you will be living in. And it's not nothing to destroy anybody. It's really to prepare. And so when you look at pre-courses, pre-algebra, before you take algebra, some people need to take pre-algebra. It's to introduce you to the concepts, the precepts, that and a terminology and a language so you're able to function. So I would tell anybody that's discharging, getting out of the military, is the number one, have a plan. But first, what are you deciding? And why are you deciding? What is your what that you want to accomplish? Where are you in the development or the progression to achieve the goals that you say you want to do? Have you saved your money? Have you established your credit? If you're saying, well, what do you want to do? And then how are you preparing for that? How are you training for that? What are you learning? What skills are you adding? Who are the people you're hiring? Who are the people that you're firing that's going to move you closer? What mentors are you looking to have? Hard work, dedication, prayers, belief, and a good team. You need a good team around you. Who's your team? Are you a good CEO of You Incorporated? So are you hiring and firing individuals that are going to help you get to your goal, or people that are going to distract you from your goal? Are you carrying individuals that you need to let go of? All these things, I don't think many people look at globally when they go to accomplish their goals. And so they just feel that, okay, I've done this and I don't have any other skills, not realizing that the military has prepared them through basic training, the tech school, the permanent party phase. And even if you've done TDY, then what was TDY for? TDY was to take you on a double duty, but it broke up the monotony of the routine that you were on. And sometimes you can go on a mental TDY. And I know I'm doing a lot of talking, but it's pretty much covered in the book. You can go on a mental TDY, whereas sometimes you need to have that break. But sometimes you go on a TDY that's detrimental because you get off the path that you set for yourself. And it's like the longer you stay off the path that you set, the harder it is to get back. And that's anything. So it talks. I'd like to keep them in mind to start thinking in those terms. And when I have that conversation with them, you could just see the light bulbs go off with them.
I bet. Hey, I have a question for you. It's not on our original list. Do you mind?
Sure. No, please.
Well, I was wondering, we have quite a few single parent airmen in the Air Force nowadays. And I specifically, I have actually quite a few program managers here at CCAF. How, if you had any advice for them, how to manage all of work and school and raising a child, and then where is your child today? What is your child decided to do based on all of this great upbringing?
Well, I tell you this. As you know, you can only raise them. You have no direction of what they do. And he's not in any trouble and anything like that. But I tried to beg him to go into the Air Force. He did not want to go in the Air Force.
No. It's
again,
not for
he wants
everybody.
to. Like a lot of them, he wants to. He has the get rich quick scheme. He wants to be the rap producer and all these things. So he works for Amazon in Michigan, and he produces music in his spare time. But again, I would say that as being a single parent and being a military member, raising a child as well, is that you have the time is the greatest commodity that they have. It is not money. Do not worry about money at this particular phase, or really any point in your life, but worry about the way that you use and implement your time. Again, look to form groups, support groups, because again, I go back to my first semester in law school when my father passed away. If it was not for the support group that I had around me to help carry me, when I couldn't carry myself until I was able to get my legs beneath me again, I may have stopped along that path of pursuing my law degree, which I promised my dad I would complete even beyond his passing. So I would say for single parents, there's people going through the same things. You don't have to struggle alone, and that a rising tide lifts all boats. So if there's a way in which you could start some type of support group, if you're taking classes together, it's to find commonalities with individuals to help you make it through as you're going along the same path. You don't need to be operating in silos. That would be one thing. Now, that's been my recommendation, because when I was there, I was the only parent. Everybody else, well, I took 20 years old. Nobody else was a parent at that point. Everybody else pretty much was enjoying their life and didn't have a child to think about. But I did. But I know I needed to complete this goal because I felt like I was catching up. Now, that's one thing, is how hungry are you? I can't give someone the satiation or the appetite to go for goals. And I'm very upfront and blunt about that. And I say it in the book, this book is not for those that are looking to rest on their laurels. This is for those that are looking to put up their lifetime score. If you then you know the language I'm speaking. If you're looking to be assertive and aggressive, and if you're looking to see all the things that you can accomplish before your time is up on this planet, then I'm the one you're going to resonate with my message. If you're looking for an easy way, if you're looking for a get-rich-quick scheme or a shortcut, that's not what I'm talking about. So for those individuals that say that I'm a young airman, I'll tell them the positive side about this is that you'll be a young parent still when the kids get older.
That's
so
true.
that's the one positive part. But to utilize the time and the resources available on base to the maximum of their ability, take everything that they're giving and providing for you to accomplish your goals.